He sits alone, in a glass case. The glass is thick, almost as if it's meant to protect the world from what lies within. The case is adorned with small trinkets and offerings from visitors, tokens of respect or perhaps attempts to appease whatever spirit might reside within the doll. The air around him feels heavy, charged with an inexplicable energy that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. His eyes seem to follow you. They are unnervingly lifelike, almost as if they hold a consciousness of their own. Visitors often report feeling an intense, almost palpable gaze that seems to penetrate their very soul. It's as if Robert is not just looking at you but looking through you, seeing things that no ordinary doll should be able to see. This is Robert the Doll, a resident of the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. The museum itself is a historic fortress, its thick walls and narrow windows adding to the sense of foreboding that surrounds Robert. The building has seen its share of history, but none of its artifacts are as infamous as Robert. He has become the museum's most notorious resident, drawing visitors from all over the world who are eager to catch a glimpse of this enigmatic figure. Robert is no ordinary doll. Crafted in the early 1900s, he was a gift to a young boy named Robert Eugene Otto. The doll was made in Germany, and its sailor suit is said to be an exact replica of one worn by young Otto himself. But from the moment Robert entered the Otto household, strange things began to happen. Objects would move on their own, unexplained noises would echo through the halls, and young Otto would often be found talking to the doll as if it were a living companion. He is a vessel of fear, a conduit to the unknown. Over the years, countless stories have emerged about Robert's eerie abilities. Some say he can change his expression, others claim he moves on his own. There are even those who believe that he can cause misfortune to those who disrespect him. The tales are as varied as they are chilling, but they all share a common thread, an overwhelming sense of dread that seems to emanate from the doll. For over a century, whispers of his sinister nature have chilled the hearts of those who dare to learn his story. The legend of Robert the Doll has been passed down through generations, each retelling adding new layers of mystery and fear. Some say that the doll is possessed by the spirit of a vengeful servant, others believe it is a conduit for dark forces beyond our understanding. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. Robert's story is not one that is easily forgotten. Robert's chilling tale is not for the faint of heart. It is a story filled with inexplicable events and eerie coincidences that defy rational explanation. Those who have encountered Robert often speak of a lingering sense of unease, a feeling that something is not quite right. It's as if the doll carries with it a dark energy that affects all who come into contact with it. It's a story of childhood whispers, strange occurrences, and a lingering sense of unease that follows you long after you've left the museum. Children who grew up in the Otto household would often hear whispers in the night, soft voices that seemed to come from nowhere. Toys would be found in different places from where they were left, and doors would open and close on their own. These strange occurrences were always attributed to Robert, and the doll quickly gained a reputation as a harbinger of the supernatural. Some dismiss it as mere superstition, a collection of tall tales spun over generations. Skeptics argue that the stories about Robert are nothing more than the product of overactive imaginations and a desire to believe in the supernatural. They point to the lack of concrete evidence and the fact that many of the stories are based on hearsay. But for those who have experienced Robert's eerie presence firsthand, no amount of skepticism can dispel the fear that he inspires. But for those who have felt the weight of Robert's gaze, there's a chilling truth that lingers in the air. Visitors to the museum often report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread when they look into Robert's eyes. Some have even claimed to see the doll's expression change, a subtle shift that sends shivers down their spine. It's as if Robert is aware of their presence and is silently judging them from behind the glass. Robert's story is a reminder that some things cannot be explained. Despite the many theories and speculations, the true nature of Robert the Doll remains a mystery. He is a puzzle that defies logical explanation, a relic of a bygone era that continues to captivate and terrify in equal measure. His story is a testament to the enduring power of the unknown, and a reminder that there are still things in this world that we do not fully understand. It's a testament to the power of fear, the enduring allure of the unknown. Robert's story has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and investigations, each one adding to the legend that surrounds him. He has become a symbol of the supernatural, a figure that embodies our deepest fears and our fascination with the unexplained. His presence in the museum is a constant reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the unknown. He's a symbol of the darkness that lurks at the edge of our understanding, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved. Robert the Doll stands as a silent sentinel, a guardian of secrets that may never be revealed. His story is a dark and eerie chapter in the annals of the supernatural, a tale that continues to haunt and intrigue all who hear it. As you leave the museum, the memory of Robert's gaze stays with you, a lingering reminder of the mysteries that lie just beyond the reach of our understanding. Our story begins in 1906 in Key West, Florida. This picturesque island city, known for its vibrant culture and stunning sunsets, was home to the Otto family. The Ottos were well respected in the community, living in a grand Victorian mansion that stood as a testament to their status. The family consisted of Thomas Otto, a prominent physician, his wife Minnie, and their young son, Robert Eugene Otto, affectionately known as Gene. The Ottos employed several servants, many of whom were of Bahamian descent, reflecting the diverse cultural tapestry of Key West at the time. A young boy named Robert Eugene Otto receives a peculiar gift, a handmade doll almost life-sized, crafted by a Bahamian servant. This doll was no ordinary toy, it was meticulously crafted, with button eyes that seemed to hold a life of their own, and a sailor suit that mirrored Gene's own attire. The servant who made the doll was said to have imbued it with a special charm, a protective spirit to watch over Gene. Little did anyone know this seemingly innocent gift would become the center of a series of inexplicable and eerie events. This doll, dressed in a sailor suit and clutching a small lion, would become Robert's constant companion. Gene was immediately taken with the doll, naming it Robert after himself. The two were inseparable, with Gene taking Robert everywhere he went. The doll sat at the dinner table, accompanied Gene on outings, and even had its own place in Gene's bed at night. To the outside world, it seemed like a harmless childhood attachment, but within the walls of the Otto household, a different story was unfolding. Robert, or Gene as he was called, became inseparable from his new toy. He would talk to Robert as if the doll were a living being, sharing his thoughts, dreams, and fears. Gene's parents initially found this behavior endearing, believing it to be a phase that would pass with time. However, as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the bond between Gene and Robert only grew stronger, and the atmosphere in the Otto household began to change. He named the doll Robert after himself. This act of naming the doll after himself seemed to signify a deeper connection, almost as if Gene saw Robert as an extension of his own identity. The doll became a fixture in the Otto household, always present, always watching. Gene's parents started to notice subtle changes in their son's behavior. He became more withdrawn, often found whispering to Robert in hushed tones. When asked about these conversations, Gene would simply say that Robert was his best friend, and that they shared secrets. What began as an innocent childhood friendship soon took a dark turn. The once lively and cheerful Gene began to exhibit signs of fear and anxiety. He would wake up in the middle of the night, screaming, claiming that Robert was moving on his own. His parents, concerned but skeptical, tried to reassure him that it was just his imagination. However, the unsettling incidents continued to escalate, leaving the family in a state of constant unease. Strange things started happening around the Otto household. Objects moved inexplicably. Furniture would be found overturned, and household items would disappear, only to reappear in odd places. Gene's parents initially blamed these occurrences on their son, believing he was acting out for attention. But Gene insisted that it was Robert who was responsible. He claimed that the doll would move around the house, causing mischief and chaos. The servants, who had always been wary of the doll, began to share their own unsettling experiences. Giggles echoed from Gene's room at night, though he was supposedly alone. The sound of childish laughter would fill the air, sending chills down the spines of those who heard it. Gene's parents would rush to his room only to find him fast asleep with Robert by his side. The giggles, they realized, were not coming from their son. The servants, too, reported hearing strange noises and seeing shadows moving in the corners of their eyes. The once warm and welcoming Otto household had become a place of fear and suspicion. Gene's parents dismissed these events as childhood fantasies. They believed that their son's vivid imagination was getting the better of him, and that the servants were simply feeding into his fears. They tried to separate Gene from Robert, but each time they did, Gene would become hysterical, begging for his doll. Reluctantly, they allowed him to keep Robert, hoping that this phase would eventually pass. But the strange occurrences only grew more frequent and more disturbing. But the servants knew better. They whispered among themselves about the doll, sharing stories of its malevolent presence. They spoke of how its expression seemed to change, how its eyes seemed to follow them as they moved about the house. Some claimed to have seen Robert blinking or shifting positions when no one was looking. The servants were convinced that the doll was possessed by a dark spirit, and they urged the Ottos to get rid of it. But their pleas fell on deaf ears, as the family struggled to make sense of the bizarre events unfolding around them. They whispered of the doll, how its expression seemed to change, how its eyes seemed to follow them. The servants' stories grew more alarming with each passing day. They spoke of how Robert's face would contort into a sinister grin or a menacing frown, depending on the mood in the house. Some even claimed that the doll's eyes would glow in the dark, casting an eerie light in the room. The Otto family, though skeptical, could not ignore the growing sense of dread that seemed to permeate their home. They claimed to have seen Robert moving around the house on his own, his sailor suit rustling in the quiet halls. The servants' accounts were chilling. They described how they would catch glimpses of the doll out of the corner of their eyes, only to turn and find it gone. Some reported hearing the sound of tiny footsteps echoing through the hallways at night. The doll, they believed, was not just a toy, but a vessel for something far more sinister. The Otto family, caught between disbelief and fear, found themselves living in a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. Fear settled over the Otto household. The once happy and harmonious home was now shrouded in an atmosphere of tension and dread. Jean's parents, though still struggling to rationalize the events, could not deny the impact it was having on their family. They watched helplessly as their son became more and more isolated, his only solace found in the company of the doll. The servants too were on edge, their every move shadowed by the presence of Robert. The Otto household had become a place of fear, where the line between reality and the supernatural seemed to blur. Jean, however, remained devoted to his unsettling companion. Despite the fear and confusion that surrounded him, Jean's bond with Robert only grew stronger. He would spend hours talking to the doll, sharing his innermost thoughts and feelings. To Jean, Robert was not just a toy but a confidant, a friend who understood him in a way no one else could. The doll seemed to offer him a sense of comfort and security, even as it cast a dark shadow over his life. He confided in Robert, sharing his secrets and fears with the doll. Jean's parents often overheard these one-sided conversations, filled with a mix of childish innocence and unsettling intensity. Jean would speak to Robert as if the doll were a living being, capable of understanding and responding to his words. He would tell Robert about his day, his dreams and his fears, seeking comfort in the doll's silent presence. To the outside world it might have seemed like a harmless childhood fantasy, but to those within the Otto household, it was a source of growing concern. Little did he know, their bond would have chilling consequences that extended far beyond his childhood years. The story of Robert the doll would become a legend, a tale of a seemingly innocent toy that harbored a dark and malevolent spirit. For Jean, the doll would remain a constant presence in his life, a reminder of a childhood overshadowed by fear and mystery. The events that transpired in the Otto household would leave an indelible mark on all who experienced them, a haunting legacy that would endure for generations to come.